Welcome to the ER Break Room, the University of Florida Department of Emergency Medicine's podcast. In here, we get to know each other, celebrate our achievements, and highlight our initiatives. I'm your host, Michael Petrauskas. I wanted to start out today by bringing on one of our chief residents, Dr. Megan Rivera, to talk about the big news in the residency from the last week, and that is the fellowship match. So Megan, welcome.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
I just wanted to jump on and give a quick congratulations and shout out to some of my fellow seniors who recently matched in a fellowship.
Wonderful, wonderful. First of all, how many residents in your class?
We have 14 total and 5, maybe 6 matched in a fellowship.
Excellent. And how many do you have results for today?
So currently we have 5 that have recently matched. The sports medicine fellowship will be matching in January, so stay tuned for that.
Very nice.
But there wasn't a lot of variety this year. We had EMS and critical care is what my class dived into. So without further ado, I'll let you know. So Dr. Ben Arnold, he matched EMS at UF Shands.
Excellent.
And then Dr. Jeffrey Katz, EMS at Advent Health Orlando. And I know that they were both super thrilled by those results.
Excellent.
And then our next 3 matched in a critical care fellowship, all here at UF Shands, which I know they're super excited to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Dr. Nilu, Dr. Jacob Milling, and Dr. Nishal Patel.
Amazing. So who do you think are these mentors that in EMS and critical care that are influencing your class so heavily?
So I know for EMS, Dr. Jones has just been absolutely incredibly influential. I'm not sure if you've run into him on shift, but he's so charismatic, very passionate about what he does. And his energy is absolutely just infectious. So I know that he attracts a lot of people that way.
Very cool.
And then critical care, oh my gosh, who's there not to talk about? I know that the favorites, Dr. Casey Carr, Dr. Torben Becker, Kruthi Shaw, just the list goes on and on. And I know that they were incredibly influential in those 3 wanting to stay here at UF as well. So we just couldn't be more happy for them.
That's great. This is wonderful news for your class, and very excited to see what the future holds for them. And it sounds like we'll get to see them around the hospital in the next couple of years.
Absolutely, there'll be attendings, which is kind of crazy to think about. Just what is that? 6 short months away, we'll all be attendings here in the department. So keep a lookout for them.
Scary,
and of course,
huh?
like I said, the sports medicine match will be in January. So stay tuned for that as well.
Very nice.
And then, of course, I can't not mention Dr. Edge, one of our seniors who recently graduated this month, who landed a job in his hometown of Lexington, Kentucky. So we all just gave a big farewell party to Dr. Edge, and we're so excited to see what he accomplishes out in Kentucky.
Very cool. Very cool. Congrats, Dr. Edge.
Yay.
Well, Megan, thanks for coming on. I think we'll have to get you and Ben and Ziad on later in the year here for a little chief huddle on the podcast.
Of course, we're looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
So our featured guest this episode is Dr. Giuliano De Portu. He is an associate professor in our department. He also is the assistant dean for the Office of Diversity and Health Equity in the College of Medicine, and he's the director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in our Department of Emergency Medicine. Giuliano, welcome.
How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on. I'm really excited about our conversation and getting to know you more.
Thanks for inviting me. It's my first podcast ever, so I'm excited.
Well, it's mine too, and it's only my second episode, so we're in this together.
Cool.
So tell me, I know a little bit about you, but tell me about yourself. And when we first met, you said you're from Puerto Rico. Can you tell me about your, growing up there or coming to the mainland, if you will?
Yeah, so I was actually born in Italy, in Rome, Italy, and then I kind of moved back to Puerto Rico, and then was kind of back and forth between Italy and Puerto Rico. So by the time I was in the 6th grade, then I moved back permanently to Puerto Rico. So I grew up there. I did middle school, high school, then University of Puerto Rico. So, but I did spend some time in Italy growing up. That was pretty cool. And then college, and then I worked. I had like a 10-year gap before college and med school. And
Wow,
then,
yeah.
I ended up going to med school when I was 33. And then, then I'm here now, right? But so that's kind of big summary of my
All right, so
early career.
that's a big summary. I have to pick a little more. It's super interesting between Italy and Puerto Rico. What's the what? Tell me, explain that, and that
So
explains the Italian as a language too. I was
right, right,
wondering
right.
about that too. Yeah.
So my mom's from Puerto Rico, and
Mm-hmm.
my dad's technically he's Greek, but he grew up in Puerto Rico. My grandfather was from Genoa, Italy, and so I was
Wow.
born in Rome. And
Yeah.
again, growing up Puerto Rico, and then it was in the fourth grade I went back to Italy. So I was there another 2 years, fourth and fifth grade. So yeah, I had to speak. Spanish was my first language growing up, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then but you're in Italy, and then you're like in elementary school, you want to go play with the kids soccer,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, I'm scared, I don't want to go out, I don't speak Italian. But since I speak Spanish, and they're both Latin based, so I was able to after 2 or 3 days say like,
Yeah.
I gotta go play outside. So I picked it up.
Yes.
When you're young like that, you probably pick it up, and
Yeah.
it was fun. It was great to live over there and have those experiences, being able to see the culture and all those things. So it was great, great.
My gosh, that's incredible. That's really cool. So you mentioned also like working for 10 years. I also was a
Hmm.
kind of an alternative path student to get to medicine, and I taught high school before. What did you do for your time before?
So I was a professional photojournalist for 10 years. I
Wow.
was a photo editor for a newspaper in Puerto Rico, and I freelanced for the Associated Press, covering like the Caribbean, and doing photo editing for all the photojournalists there.
Wow.
And so that I did 10 years of that, and then I always wanted to go to med school, but I was always
Yeah.
this like
Yeah.
I was not the greatest student, and I was like, oh, I'm taking photos. This is cool.
Uh huh.
I got
It
a
is
C in
cool.
chemistry. I got a C in chemistry. Oh, whatever. And then it was like, and then it was like, oh, my grades are not stellar. And now I have to kind of have to find another thing to do. But
Uh
then
huh. Uh
I
huh.
said, what's truly in my heart is like try to give this a chance. And
Uh huh.
so when I was 33, I quit my job at the newspaper
Yeah.
and applied and went to medical school. So and, yeah,
Wow, wow, that it takes a lot, to go back and to recommit yourself and start over. So that's
yeah.
incredible. But okay, so I did hear at Mary Patterson, Dr. Patterson did say that you had done some photojournalism things, and had she mentioned like an award or something you had won, or like a special photo?
Yeah,
Tell me more about
yes,
that.
yeah. So one of my photos in 1998, there was a
Mm-hmm.
telephone strike. They were trying to privatize the government-owned phone company. So the
Mm-hmm.
Teamsters were, doing their thing, and they clashed with the
Mm-hmm.
police. So I
Mm-hmm.
have a photo that ran in Life magazine when Life magazine still was a monthly thing,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a section called the big picture. So it ran a double page in Time magazine, in Life magazine. I'm sorry, and that was pretty cool. The kind of the one of the highlights. So I won. I was finalist for an award from the Columbia Graduate School of Journalism called the Alfred Eisenstadt Award, which Alfred Eisenstadt was the photographer that took the black and white picture of the Navy guy kissing the nurse in Times Square at
Wow.
the end of the war. So
Yeah.
that's Alfred
Mm-hmm.
Eisenstadt. So it's a very prestigious like award. So I was runner up for that award, but still got so
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah.
And I met a bunch of really cool photographers and folks during the years.
Yeah.
One that I met there was a gentleman called Max Aguilera Helwig, and Max used to photograph for Rolling Stone magazine. And
Mm-hmm.
when he was 42, he got assigned to photograph a spinal surgery. And when he went into the OR, he was like, "Wow, what is this?" And he ended up doing a book called The Sacred Heart, which is a book completely dedicated to surgical photos. He
Mm-hmm.
did that for like 7 years, and when he was 42, he went to Tulane Medical School and
Really?
became a doctor. So
Huh.
pretty cool story.
Well, that's where I went
Uh,
to medical school, actually. I'm gonna have to look him up. That's very interesting.
yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. In
Yeah.
in
But
um,
that's incredible. Did you, but you still, and I know you're still very active in photography, and I know that you take a lot of photographs around here of birds, correct?
yeah, that's correct. So when the pandemic started, we're all
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a little bit of lockdown, and said, well, I didn't really notice all the migratory birds that we have here in Florida. And
Yeah.
had Dr. Henry Young, who's my co-resident and my chief,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll know that he's an amazing guy. He
Yes.
also is a photographer,
Mm-hmm.
so we started to go and just photograph, and we started to take photographs and getting more involved, and it's really fun and it's challenging, and it's part of doing a little bit of wellness and being there and with nature and really cool. So
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
Dr. Patterson is a bird expert extraordinaire. So
She,
I'll just think it's
yes.
a different duck that I've never seen, and she'll be like, that's a such and such bird." I'm like, so, but
That's incredible. Go
also
ahead. No, no, no. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Taylor Zeglam is now also into bird photography, and she's amazing. So maybe we can do a podcast
Really?
with her next
Oh,
time.
absolutely. And also, I want to hold you to. So I talked to Dr. Patterson about this, and we want to do. I think it'd be really neat to do like maybe a bird walk together, or even a
Mm,
photography club or something. But between you and Dr. Patterson and Taylor Steglin, that would
yeah,
be an amazing wellness activity for the department if you're
that'd
up
be
for
cool.
it at some point.
Definitely.
And can people get your bird photographs? Can they buy them or anything or no?
I mean, I
Not
don't.
really.
I mean, they're on Instagram. If
Oh, they
people
are.
follow, yeah, if you
Oh,
follow Instagram,
oh
I'm
yeah, of
under
course.
there. It's
Yeah.
Papa Bear UF, and then yeah, you can see
Oh,
them.
nice. I like that.
It's
Papa pair
just for
you up.
fun.
That's one. Absolutely. You got to have fun. Okay. Well, I think that's wonderful, Giuliano. Super creative.
Thanks.
A couple of, okay. So it's more on the professional side. I think you've had, I was very impressed. You've had a big year this year from what I've just kind of observed in the several months I've been here. And, first I hearing about the announcement about your making associate professor. So that's a huge deal. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How was did I mean any advice for or how did that go or any advice for younger faculty like myself that towards becoming promoted?
Yeah, so it's definitely a lengthy process, and UF is really
Mhm.
critical on promoting folks. It's not an easy thing to do. I would suggest that you find, obviously, within emergency medicine, you kind of find what you love and start like trying to find that niche of things that you do. And I was able to do ultrasound. We do ultrasound for obviously for the department, but
Right.
also for the medical students. So if you have an interest in education, it could be peds, simulation, whatnot, or even in general, just work hard at it. And we sometimes do so many things and we just don't like write things down. And so I would recommend this, something I got from Dr. Rohit Patel. Have
Mhm.
like a document on your desktop, and if you go, you did a sim lab with some med students, write it down, because by
Yeah.
the time you need to get your document for promotion ready, it's there. They ask you for everything. How many
Yeah.
students were there? How many people you impacted? So, and we do so many things, but then we don't write it down. And then if it's not there, you kind of like, you're just, you need to do these things. You need to do them.
Yeah. Wow, that's smart. I didn't. Yeah, I kind of heard someone had told me like write your activities down, but I didn't know about like even the number of students that were there and things like that as
They're
well.
very, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, UF is very, very critical and specific
Yes.
on asking all
Yes.
these things,
Yeah.
your packet ends up being like, a 60-page document with
Wow.
everything
Wow.
that you've done. So,
Well,
but
well, that lends to even more. I mean, the accomplishment of being promoted. So, congrats again on that.
thanks you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then the other announcement was in our faculty meeting a couple months ago. You were named the director of diversity, equity, and inclusion for our Department of Emergency Medicine,
Yes.
and you already are the assistant dean, correct, for the Office of Diversity and Equity for the College of Medicine, correct?
Correct. So yeah, so that office has several assistant deans,
Hmm.
and Donna Parker is the associate dean and the director of that office, and that's
Hmm.
one that's related to the College of Medicine, and we have a mentorship program to medical students, underrepresented minorities there, and that
Hmm.
I've been doing that for almost like 5 years now. So when our new dean came along, she wanted to continue. It's one of the pillars of her mission,
Yes. Yes.
to have. She wanted like a liaison, a director for like a on each department. So it's not just like this like random general thing. So she wanted to hold some accountability to every department. So every department has been choosing some folks to do this. So very recent, I think we're going to have our first meeting in December to try to get things moving, things along. Things in Florida, are
Yeah.
interesting,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So we're just trying to like do the right thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's wonderful. Very cool. Um, what, so then, aside from that, like what, so you were a resident here at UF, correct?
I was.
Yes. And you stayed at UF. So what made you stay, or what do you think makes UF special?
So it's a great question, and
Yeah.
sometimes a lot of like resident candidates ask me the same thing, or med students whatnot, and I think that this is like it's a very special place. It feels like it's a big family here at UF in the department. So you know that when you come to
Hmm.
work and it's busy, we know it is. It's weird when you walk into the ED and the charge nurse tells you run if you can, so. But you still kind of smile and say like we got this, and you
Yeah.
always feel supported by your other colleagues, even if it's not your core or whatnot. Hey, there's a
Hmm.
every it's like all hands on deck, and you feel
Yeah.
that. I felt that as a resident, that I always felt
Yeah.
supported from my faculty, from my attendings, and I think that's one of the reasons why I guess I'm very happy here, and we have a great team in the ED, and we have a great hospital. Chance has all these amazing things that we can provide our patients, and that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And just in learning more about the history of the department, it seems like, what year did you come here?
I came here in 2000 and I came here in 2010.
Okay, so you have seen like exponential growth, correct, in the department.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then you started off across the street where the peds are now, which is fairly small, and that was the main ER, correct?
So I came here. I transferred here. I actually did my intern year at the University of Puerto
Yeah.
Rico, and then I transferred into the second year because they had, unfortunately, had a resident who got sick, who left the program.
Hmm.
So they
Hmm.
had an open spot for the second year. So when I got here, they were just kind of inaugurating the new ED. So I never saw the
Uh-huh.
old ER. So
Okay.
I came in
Okay.
for the new building. But our PEDS
Yeah.
ER was where Core Three is. There's like a little
Oh.
closet there that has
Yeah.
also like changed. So
Wow.
I have seen all those things, but I can tell you that through these years, I think I've always liked that like open door policy. That you can talk to each other,
Hmm.
and I think there's definitely that since Dr. Patterson started, we have way more transparency, and like I think that I personally feel that I've been that our time is really appreciated, and she's really a good advocate. So but in
Yeah.
general, the department has always worked in unison, and it's been a great team.
That's fantastic. That's great. Do you have a any like memorable day, or or what the ideal day would be in the ER, or like a certain trauma that just went well, or something that just sticks out with you as like a as an event in your career. Maybe it was an ultrasound. Maybe it was like this great case. Anything that jumps out at you that
Oh
you
man,
kind of reflect back on as like a feel good moment.
those yeah, those are all complicated questions.
Yeah.
Because you always have memorable moments that are like
Yes.
great and memorable
Yeah.
moments that are like awful.
Yeah. That's
I could
true.
tell you, actually, I was thinking about a case the other day that I had with one of our residents, Marissa Kaplan, and now she's in South Florida. She's directing some presenting ED. It was a young kid, probably 30 something, that came in and who was in cardiac arrest when he comes in. They had return of circulation. They're moving him to our bed, and he's like, suddenly he has no pulse. And I'm
Mm.
thinking they're doing this for like 40 minutes now. I'm thinking, wow, what's wrong with this kid? So
Hmm.
we put the probe there, and there's a cardiac standstill. It was nothing happening. But then
Hmm.
I'm looking, and suddenly like a whoomp, like a big squeeze, like a really good squeeze, and then it
Yeah.
would go away. So I'm thinking, man, this guy's in like super long Brady here. So
Hmm.
we started to pace him, and we got him back. And
Wow.
I think the guy walked out of the hospital.
Wow.
He had, I don't remember exactly what he had. This is years ago, but that was one
Yeah.
of those moments that I said, like, wow, man, anybody else would have called this
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we were able to really help that kid, and that was really cool. So Memorial Day in
It's
DD. Hopefully,
amazing.
yeah, hopefully, more days like that. I mean, we
Yeah.
try to help
Yeah.
everybody, but that was a cool case.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to we have to savor those things. That's like
Mm,
the essence of what keeps us going, inspires us. To do what we
yep,
do. Right.
yep,
Oh,
yep.
that's incredible. That's fantastic. So, any parting thoughts for us youngins, us new faculty, us residents? I mean, this is also for the
Sure,
for
sure.
anyone to listen. Yeah.
So I think one of the hardest things that we do is that obviously we're taking care of so many people. We're tired, we're biased, and we have a lot of like this cognitive like load when people are saying, "Hey, that person's here again," or "He doesn't want to take the meds," or it's like that. Leave that bias at the door, because we have to always think, why are we here? We need to figure out if this is an emergency or not. And one more than once, I've caught really bad things on people that there were either the paramedics were trying to like tell me, oh, we've seen this guy 20 times, or some other hospital had discharged this person. And when I've taken a deep breath, and that's what I tell everybody, if you're gonna learn one thing, it's try to be humble, leave that at the door, and try to look at this patient with fresh eyes, and try to be objective as we can. We all can be, like I said, we'll be tired, but let's say, okay, this lady has back pain, let me make sure it's not an emergency, nothing really bad. So because otherwise we're not going to be doing what's right for the patient. The patient at the end is going to like suffer, have a bad outcome, and and we learn from everybody, and especially for the new, like interns. And I tell the medical students, you'll learn from the attendings, from your colleagues, from the nurses, from the the custodian that's cleaning the floor. You can learn so many things from different people. So and you'll never stop learning. I've been doing this now for like what, 12 years, and I come in with an open mind, because the moment you don't, that's where you're gonna like life is gonna throw you a curveball, and the ER is full of curveballs for those baseball aficionados out there. I'm more of a
That-
soccer fan, so I'm watching the World Cup, so
that's
yeah.
who.
So
Any picks to win, or who's your team for the World
I
Cup?
mean, my team is Italy. They unfortunately haven't qualified for the last two World
Mm,
Cups. They haven't qualified. I
mm,
always root
yeah.
for either the South American teams, Argentina. I think Brazil is a good candidate. Spain just beat Costa Rica 7-0, which
Oh
is
my gosh,
is yeah.
poor
So
Costa Rica.
for Costa Rica, so
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well, I really appreciate your wisdom and you coming on the podcast and sharing with us about
oh,
yourself.
thanks,
Right.
Michael. Thanks so much.
That's all for this episode. Special thanks to our chair, Dr. Mary Patterson, for supporting this podcast, and to Dr. Giuliano De Portu for composing our theme music. I'm Michael Petrauskas. Be well.